Good morning. Let's see somebody type in the chat and let us know that you are here. I see the first person, Margita, besides David. Yeah, David's here. Margita is here. Great. Let's get everybody settled in. Get your coffee, tea. Well, see, that's if you're on this West Coast like me, but everybody else has probably been up for a while. But you can still be drinking your coffee or your tea. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Okay. All right. So let's give this a few minutes to go before we get started and get people signed in to the chat. We've got a pretty good number of people registered today, but I want to try to get everybody to log into the chat and like participate and join us. This is going to be somewhat of an interactive session today. So you'll get the most out of it if you are logged in. Laura, good morning. And then we may have some people that drop in after we've gotten started. So if you see anybody that's struggling, can't hear, can see David's in chat, help them out. And then we will have a replay for today. And I'm going to get the link ready while we give it just a few minutes. Hang on. Latanya on our team is here today. Mamie, good morning. Laura's at her library.
Oh, studying.
She's already studying. Wow.
Committed.
Okay. Let's get more people in, guys. If you're out there and you're watching, please sign into the chat. Hello, Amy. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know where you're joining us from. And this is, great that everyone at all stages of their exams. So we have people just starting who are studying. We have people, Amy's in the middle of her process. We hope to have people who are awaiting their scores logging in and joining us too, because those should be out, I would say, sometime next week. So Alejandra, good morning.
Austin. Yeah, who's the warmest weather and who's the coldest weather? What are we today?
I would say Austin's probably pretty warm. Doreen is in Michigan. I bet it's pretty chilly there.
I think we're about 20 some degrees today.
Ah.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I'm about 40 or so. Okay, Doreen, you're colder than it is in all right. You're near Madison, right? Sort of, no?
Closer to the lakeshore. Madison would be about 90 miles, 80.
Okay, so you're probably even colder than they are.
It does depend, yeah, but sometimes the lake protects us from the weather fronts, but sometimes it brings them in. Fast and furious.
Yeah, I'm always amazed sometimes when I am actually in Canada and people think, oh, it's so cold. No, it's not. It's much, much warmer than like Wisconsin or Madison because I have family there. So, yeah. I'm in Bellingham, Washington today. So it's like 40 something, like Alejandro around there. I mean, it's a little damp right now, so that it always feels chilly. David he was coming back from his holidays. He was going through South Dakota. It was -2.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's some scary cold weather. All right, so let's go ahead and get moving since everybody's cold in different places. I'm gonna get some activity going. I'm gonna let Jenny and Aga take it off and take the lead and introduce themselves because I've been blathering on and I don't have something prepared. So it's still my early morning. So welcome, Aga. Welcome, Jenny. Our guests and our authors today are going to lead us through a wonderful presentation. I'm going to let Aga start and tell you about her background and how she got into leading us through this today.
I would love to do that. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Jenny and I are tuning in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We love to engage with you in the chat, so stay close to your keyboard or device. There will be lots of questions that we pose throughout. The whole idea being the more you interact, the more you get out of it in the end, and hopefully we pose questions, inspire some reflection, and help you think through the NCIDQ and the value that it brings to your personal brand and the way you communicate this great achievement once you know that you have fully passed the exam. But it's never too early to start thinking about promoting this wonderful step in your career growth. So a little bit about ourselves in a sort of unofficial introduction. My name is Aga Artka. I am NCIDQ certified. I also hold an EDAC certification. I am an interior designer of almost 20 years. Primarily, the majority of my time, I've been the sole proprietor and an owner of a design studio called after my name, Aga Artka Interior Design. I practice here in the city of Milwaukee, in Wisconsin, but most of my clients are actually out of state. The sectors that I generally practice in are senior living, multifamily, so housing of all kinds. And what brings us together, Jenny and I, and what makes us sort of qualified to have this conversation with you is that we have authored a book called The Brand of You. And the book leads interior designers specifically through a process of defining their personal brands, because we have found through our experiences in design, both Jenny being an educator and myself being a practitioner, that many designers, although they're wonderfully talented designers, they don't often spend the time to think about what they want to do when they grow up and what the message behind the personal brand should be in order to allow them to fully succeed in this field. So NCIDQ, for all that reason, is part of this self-discovery process and growth in this career. And so we're excited to have this conversation with you today. Jenny?
I'm Jenny Rebholz, and I'm principal of Pushpoint Marketing, but I'm an educated interior designer. I had a double major in interior design and communications and was a practicing professional for the first 6 years of my career, both in the Milwaukee area, and I lived in Phoenix, Arizona for a few years and was a designer there as well in the hospitality world. But what I've done over the course of my 25 plus year career is combine my passion for people, design, and writing into my business, Pushpoint Marketing. So while I'm not a practicing professional these days, I touch the design world in everything that I do. I'm writing about it, and I'm helping my architecture, interior design, contractor clients, anyone who touches the built environment. I'm helping them promote their businesses, elevate themselves as professionals, and really what I like to do is work behind the scenes to help others, shout about themselves and elevate their, where they want to go in their careers. And as Aga mentioned, I did spend a number of years as an educator, which if you read the book, you'll find out that that's where Aga and I first met and set us on our journey that has brought us to the book and the revised edition of the book, and to be here with you today and share some insights and be your cheerleaders on your journeys and be there to support you.
Okay, so to get us started, here's what we want for you by the time you leave. First, confidence. Passing the exam is one thing. And kudos, great congratulations again once you find out the results. But talking about it clearly and powerfully is another. Second, we're hoping to clarify the message or help you clarify the message behind this achievement. Many designers underestimate their value. I know that from myself. Starting out especially, it was really, really hard to, first of all, identify what that even means to me and communicate it clearly. So we want you to be able to say who you are, what you stand for, and how NCIDQ strengthens your work. And then third, increased value. So understanding your value is essential for negotiating, advocating for yourself, and leveling up. So all those things combined is what we're hoping to touch on in today's workshop. And so that's what we're going to step into. Oh, but you know what? Before we do that, we want to tell you a story.
We'll come back to, yeah. We'll keep you as Sister Ruta and tell us a story. Okay.
Here it is. A young monk once asked his teacher, "Master, what is the greatest value of my life?" The elder replied, "Before I tell you, take this stone to the market. If someone asks its price, stay silent, raise 2 fingers, but don't sell it, bring it back." Okay. So at the market, a woman offered $20 for the stone. The monk was surprised. Someone wants to pay for this worthless rock? So the next day, the master sent him to a museum. And there, a collector offered $2,000, impressed by its beauty. And then finally, the monk was told to visit an art gallery. An art dealer took one look at the rock and exclaimed, I'll pay $200,000 for this rare specimen." Shocked, the monk ran back to his master. "Now, can you tell me what is the greatest value of my life?" The master smiled and said, "My child, your value is like this stone. At the market, it's worth $20. In the museum, it's worth $2,000. And at the collector's, it's worth $200,000. So what's the moral of the story? It touches on the exact tension that most designers struggle with. Your NCIDQ doesn't create the value. It reveals, it validates, and it amplifies the value you've been building all along. So how this translates now to you, to interior designers: choose the right environment to promote the NCIDQ. So choose the gallery versus the market. Then do the work that the rock cannot do, which is communicate the value that you're bringing, the additional value that you're now bringing into the world. And lastly, communicate it in the right room, in front of the right audience, and help in order to achieve your career goals. So sort of keep that story in mind, because we will refer to it throughout positions, the entire conversation about value of your NCIDQ certification in an entirely different light. So in order to get us started, though, we wanted to pose this very simple question. What's your why? Why did you pursue the NCIDQ, or why are you pursuing the NCIDQ? So we wanted to hear from you in the chat right here. Some question or some answers you may be thinking of right away are: it was or is a requirement at work. It's a long-term personal goal. It may be, it may be driven by feeling you wanting to validate your expertise and experience. Or maybe it's tied to a desire to protect the health, safety, and welfare, those three we know very well, of the public within the projects that you work on. So let us know in the chat. I'll take a look. When we say, why are you studying for NCIDQ? What comes to mind right away? Value of the profession and personal goal, I would think. Okay. Who else? So the idea behind identifying and clarifying the why for you is that every one of you is doing it for a different reason. And that why, like your personal why that ties to the brand of you, is the driving force or the foundation behind every other credential that you will decide to take, every movement within your career journey, every advancement or sort of stepping back that you decide to undertake. That's the why that we're promoting as part of the definition of the brand of you. And we're really trying to get in front of you so that the self-analysis can begin.
There's some great responses.
Yeah. I feel I'm stuck in the furniture industry and want to get back to working for a design firm, right? Like, so that credential is allowing you to open new other doors, take a pivot from the path that you're on, or you're hoping that that's what that will do. My way, long-term personal goal and validation, separate value, personal goal, long-term goal, career journey. I love that you mentioned that career journey.
Yeah. And goals.
When you flip through the book, you'll see that part of our visual, our career maps that we show, that we try to utilize in order to show different professionals' career experiences via this visual of a journey or a map to keep learning professional development, professional goals. Absolutely love that. To set my qualifications apart from HGTV designers, how I bring more value and expertise to the table. Okay, so here's the wonderful thing is that you've all started to think about this added value that NCIDQ is bringing to the table. Now what we'll try to teach through today's workshop too is the importance of communicating that out into the world, because the perception of NCIDQ may not be the same as what you think. And in fact, I think we know that there are different ideas of what the exam may be.
And it takes the collective voice of all of you sharing your story to make it even more, the public more aware of it, and in the industry elevate it. All right. So our first module in owning this credential and making it part of your story, it is more than a line on your resume. Think of it as a chapter in this professional narrative that we're working on. This is an investment and accomplishment that's part of the evolution of the brand of you. But it's going to mean something different to each of you, as we've seen in the chat. And we want you to reflect on that meaning and help you weave it into your brand story. So throughout this module, we want to show you how to leverage the NCIDQ as a differentiator and use it to support your career goals. All right. So what defines the brand of you? In order to help you own this credential, we're going to focus for a minute on the brand of you fundamentals that we share in the book. And in the brand of you framework, your personal brand is shaped by three things. First of all, your definition. Think about the essence of you, who you are, what you stand for, and the impact that you want to make on the world. And with that, you're going to think about your tangible proof points, your education, your experience, your strengths and weaknesses, and your credentials. These are the brand of you data points. Now, in the book, we also talk about the fuel. This is our creativity, our passion, and our sense of purpose. And this is the fuel that drives you and will keep you pushing forward. It's that spark that you dig deep down to encourage you, like when you're in school pushing to a deadline, when you're studying for the exam and you're exhausted, but it's pushing you. This passion, this sense of purpose. It's the energy and that's in your control, and it's what you tap into to maintain your career momentum. On the other hand, there are factors that are often out of our control, but influence every step in the journey. Change, I'm sure everyone's experienced some level of change, the state of the industry, and things that are going on with the economy. These all influence our career moves and decisions. NCIDQ adds a new data point to the brand of you, and it's a credential that's a powerful differentiator, but its impact depends on how you communicate it and what story you attach to it. One of the anchors of the brand of you that we talk about a lot is your core values. We think of them as career accelerators. They inform how you stand out and help you determine what credentials you pursue, what's important to you, and how you position the brand of you. Values such as impact, recognition, mastery, these may be driving this particular chapter of your career. And for those of you who need help identifying your core values, we have a reflection journal on the website. So we will try and add that link to the chat. Whether your next step is seeking a promotion, a leadership role, or changing from a dealership to a design firm, or contemplating entrepreneurship, aligning your next steps with your values creates energy. It will energize you, and let's all avoid the burnout. So, committing to the NCIDQ already demonstrates essential traits that employers value, traits that are important to your story, such as your confidence, the courage to put your knowledge to the test, and to step into your professional accountability. And we hope throughout this program, you continue to build more confidence. It's resilience, the willingness to learn, to try again, and to persist, especially if you've had to take this multiple times, make multiple attempts. And time management, your ability to balance your preparation with your demanding project schedules. All of these qualities are the brand of you in action. They show your commitment to growth, to excellence, and to professionalism. They communicate far beyond the NCIDQ letters themselves. Could you join us in the chat again with what other skills you think you've been displaying through this process?
And I can say that having studied for the exam and failed the first time, both resilience and time management were definitely on display. And that's where I had to improve time management, especially. So I feel like, especially in terms of the skills that it almost taking the exam showed me where I needed to put in more work.
Commitment, yes.
So it was coming back and saying, no, just because it's hard, it doesn't mean that you stop. This is actually when you keep pushing. And two, time management on the exam itself, not even the preparation part. Being prepared, being focused, knowing your stuff, and believing that you can accomplish it in the given amount of time is what I needed to work on. And that's what paid dividends in the end. So we want to hear from you. What are you thinking? So this is when you earlier when we asked the why, and many of you brought in your responses that ranged from personal growth, confidence, validation. This is what builds that story. So when you say, I want to this exam, I want to utilize this credential as an example of my commitment to the industry. What specifically are you talking about, right? How can you explain to the audience, whoever you're talking to, be it a client, an employer, a team member, that is what I mean when I say I'm committed to this profession and I'm committed to growth in my own career. Self-discipline, right? And these are some points that we want you to jot down on the side, whether it's a notebook or your notes app, because that will give you fuel and that will give you terminology to utilize in conversations. So we're hoping that you're starting to see how we're moving away from just saying I passed NCIDQ to owning what that actually means to you, giving it some perspective, connecting it to career goals, connecting you to the next move, and being able to explain to the audience the why behind this tremendous work that you're putting towards meeting this credential.
Yeah, I like the reference to it being a process, and that's great. Like, yes, this is a project in and of itself, and where you're managing, the time and the commitment, and
then that's part of the challenge is that though, and we'll get into numbers a little later, though, there are a lot of interior designers practicing in this field, in different sectors, but in the field, there's not necessarily one meaning of the exam. And this is just within our profession. Now you step out of the profession and the meaning of this credential gets diluted further and further. And so to connect it to what Jenny was mentioning earlier, it is all of our responsibility to be the advocates of this credential. It means different things in different states. It translates to different legislature in terms of Practice Act or Title Act, or different states hold different requirements. So specifically to you, to identify that story is really critical. All right, thank you so much for interacting in the chat. We'll keep moving. All right, so these are some of our thought out concepts regarding connecting the brand of you to the why, to the core values, and to your gained skills. But we're not the only ones saying that. So in preparation for this workshop, we have surveyed 13 professionals in hiring and leadership roles in different parts of the country, in different sectors of design. Yeah. And we are excited to share their feedback on what they see when considering candidates to join their teams. So we'll reference a couple of their insights, tips, and advice. But the whole idea here is to let you know that the opinions vary. Though there are some similarities, different companies and different environments value this credential differently. But what stays constant is your value and how you talk about this accomplishment. And sometimes you may choose to decide that the environment in which you're communicating this credential is not the right one. Reference the story of the monk and the rock. Maybe you're talking at the market level. Well, you should be really talking about in the gallery level. So first of all, when it comes to the sort of the message and the consistency of understanding of this credential of NCIDQ, many of our surveyors have sort of unequivocally stated that NCIDQ equals commitment, and some of you have already mentioned that. It equals competency, and it also equals trust. And it's not just about checking the box, like I've done this thing. That's one thing. We started with this statement. What we do see a lot of people say is it is a signal. It's a signal that you are committed. It's a signal that you have competency to take on bigger scopes of projects, perhaps, or to advance in a leadership role. It is a signal that you are a trusted employee to deliver the project on time, to do it without mistakes, for example. Firms see you as more promotable, more reliable, and more positioned for leadership roles, as I just mentioned. So a couple of actual quotes from what was shared with us. One of the respondents said, the NCIDQ credential is a requirement when evaluating potential hires for senior level positions. So you may be able to enter an environment for this specific company, and they're a Midwest company focusing on senior living work. But in order to be qualified or considered for promotion, NCIDQ is a requirement. Another person said, our firm has a policy that professional certification is necessary for advancement, very much in line, and it is a differentiator. And then again, asked a similar question about NCIDQ's requirement for in the hiring process. They said yes. NCIDQ equates to being committed to profession and guarantees a level of experience. So I think all the things, sort of repeat it one more time for all of us to hear, validates the work that you're putting in, but it also gives you some language to sort of keep in mind when talking about this achievement out in the world.
All right. So, as we talked before about taking some notes and thinking about things, continue with that as we look at this in practice. Because if you really think about sharing the news of this accomplishment and it's just a simple statement of I passed the NCIDQ, that's a fact, right? You're sharing a fact. And if each one of you states that exact same fact, how do you stand apart from each other or anyone else who has passed the exam, right? So here's what I learned through the process is a story. People remember stories, and a story will capture an employer's attention and make you more memorable. So to develop your story, you need to reflect on how the credential aligns with this chapter of your career and your values. And, a lot of you have been listing values in the chat and thinking about some of your own goals. So keep digging in on that and work on crafting a statement that connects this NCIDQ experience and credential to your why as a designer. And consider how that enhances your credibility, supports your goals, and prepares you for the next chapter. So thinking about different ways that you may talk about it, an example could be, earning my NCIDQ reinforced my belief that design is about responsibility, not just creativity. It validated my role in shaping safe, functional, meaningful environments for the people who live and work in them. Or maybe I pursued the NCIDQ because I wanted my work to reflect the same professionalism I expect from others in our industry. It's not just about credentials, it's about integrity and trust and doing things the right way. So, mull this over. Now we're going to work you into a writing prompt to continue thinking through this. Because do you see how in some of those examples, the power of adding personality and heart to the story, your why behind the credential, how that's where it'll start to have you connect with other people and move you towards your goals by leveraging this credential. So take this moment for self-reflection. Think about, why did you pursue the NCIDQ? And what does it really mean to you? How does it align with your values? And what does it add to your story? How does this credential support you and the kind of designer you want to be? So make some notes to yourself. And again, you guys have been really great about sharing thoughts in the chat. So please, we welcome you to continue and inspire others. So
the presentation, as we've outlined at the very beginning, is sort of divided into 3 parts. This is your sort of end of the first part where we talk about the why, the bigger picture behind taking or studying, focusing on NCIDQ as your next level of growth in this career. Then there will be 2 more. Our hope is that you're actively participating in the session so that some of the language gets jotted down for later consideration. We certainly do not expect you to share an entire new pitch and introduction script, but just sort of stay with us and continue mowing this over, because it may be a new way of considering how to talk about NCIDQ beyond the I passed. As Jenny said, that's a fact, but there's more. We want to know more.
Yeah. And it's an ongoing exercise for you. Again, you're taking this all in right now with us, and you may set it aside and get back to studying, or, you can keep coming back to it and sort of formulating a bigger thought or plan of how am I going to really get out there and share this news and use it to my advantage.
That's a great start, Amy. Earning my NCIDQ validates my work values. We encourage you to name those. They don't have to be named in the statement, but name it for yourself. Integrity is one of them. Years of experience is the sort of acquired value, and commitment to the interior design industry. The next module will also add the future goal, or I'm using this in order to advance, move, change, pivot. Some of that language is also critical to tie in to this credential, because I think it allows people to see, oh, it's not the end of the road, it's the beginning.
And 2, when we are talking about, taking note of your core values, understand that, again, this is a career journey, and there are different chapters and different seasons to your entire career. So it's good to, self-check those values over the course of time too, because at some periods of your life, those may adjust, and then you can adjust ways you describe yourself and what things mean to you with that evolution.
All right, we'll keep moving forward. In the next section, we're hoping to touch a bit more on positioning the brand of you after the credential. So this is all about communicating your accomplishment in places that you interact in amongst your network, whether that's in person, online, within your workplace, inside your team. So we're starting to build the language and the script for you to share more about this accomplishment with the world. We've identified already that your credential is more than a line on your resume. It's a chapter in your professional narrative. Your NCIDQ doesn't just validate your skills, and we talked quite a bit about that in the chat. It creates an opportunity to reposition yourself in the market with greater clarity, authority, and intention. And somebody already said, I want to make a switch from furniture to true design that I remember from my previous work experience, perhaps. In the brand of you framework, positioning is about showing the world where you fit. So you choose where this component fits within your story. It's not the industry that chooses, and where you're going with it. So that's where I was connecting to earlier, the goal behind. What are you going to use it to, what path are you going to pursue next? It's how you take your definition of the brand of you, the fuel and the factors, and turn them into a clear message others can quickly understand and stand behind. So here we're hoping, in addition, sort of building on your why, in addition to the why and the core values that we have addressed earlier, we thought that we would also show you ways to lean on some numbers with relation to NCIDQ. And this is where I love to be. I love to looking at research numbers and facts behind design. And so here's some things that I wanted to bring into the conversation. Now, whether you choose to lean on the numbers in their very hard nature, or just sort of know it, that is the case, and use it in order to select the right vocabulary to tell your story. That's up to you. But here it comes. What I wanted to bring into the conversation is number 544. That is the number of new certificate holders from spring of 2024. 544. Okay, interesting. Now, I have also gone through the CIDQ report from 2024 to look for some of these numbers, and pulled out, here it is actually, I'm sharing the link with you, and pulled out the state of Arizona. And so when I look at the state of Arizona, the number pops up of 313. That is the number of NCIDQ holders in the state of Arizona. So now, do you see how it starts to begin to connect to your own story? If you are a practicing designer in the state of Arizona, you're one of 313 active certificate holders. That's it. 313. It doesn't seem like a big number at all. So from a promotion and marketing standpoint, I'm challenging you to think about how exclusive this credential can be in terms of messaging and marketing. You are one of not that big of a number when it comes to all that it represents. So in terms of marketing and professional growth, I think it presents a much bigger opportunity when you really look at the hard data behind it. The next number, 17,447, is the number of active certificate holders nationwide. That's total active holders. Now, compare that number to, and this number may change depending on the source that you look at, but looking at the ASID's report from 2024, the total number, and this is their estimate, probably on the high side, of practicing designers, this is both employed and self-employed in the state of, in the United States, is 128,800. 128,000. The percentage of that now, you're now part of a very small group. If you do the math, only 13.75% of practicing interior designers hold an active NCIDQ certificate. This may speak to you. This may speak to your audience. It may not. It really does depend on how you like to process information. But I think what I'm trying to get at is that this is a pool of professionals that are meeting the highest requirement in this profession. You're about to be entered, or you're about to be part of that group, that elite group. And we are excited for you to utilize it as such. So use it, own it. It really does set you apart. If you have thoughts on that, please share in the chat. I don't know if you've studied the report as detailed as I like to do. But yeah, wow, right? Wow. So if you're looking for information to back the conversation about asking for more, whatever that may be, more money, more fees, more time, more support, more resources, if you position it in terms of, but I am only one of 300 who holds this credential, that makes me a sought after individual who has passed or proven meeting the highest requirement in this industry. Thanks, David. Own it.
Own it. Yes.
And so once you have that, even the basics identified behind the NCIDQ credential, we are here to ask you, now is the time, again, now as in when you find out, to begin to be your own advocate, begin to be an advocate for NCIDQ and the advancement in the industry, and start promoting this accomplishment and start promoting the message behind it. At the very, very least, the things you can do are, we're going to give you some examples, and maybe post in the chat too while I'm rattling off some thoughts here is on how were you already planning on promoting this accomplishment to others. So at the very minimum, we're thinking about things that you can do. Obviously, utilize the digital world. We lean heavily on LinkedIn because that is a recruiter's dream platform to communicate. But also, this is where most of our professional networks live. And that's number one. Post on LinkedIn. Post your accomplishment, post about it, post about the effort behind it, post about the process. Add it as a credential or a license in your profile. Profile on LinkedIn, profile on your website if you have one, profile on the Works website. Update your LinkedIn's About section, because that's where the algorithms are pulling from, are those keywords and achievements and some of the skills and expertise that you can highlight within the About page as well. Use the digital badge from CIDQ. They are now creating these wonderfully looking graphics that you can add to the LinkedIn profile, to your email signature, to your website's About page as well. Other things, add it to your email signature as a badge, as NCIDQ behind your name, included in your professional bio. Yes, don't forget about that. And make sure it is updated appropriately on the company's website, whether that's, again, your own website or the firm that you work for. And then lastly, but not least by any means, is do mention it in conversations as an accomplishment, again, that it takes a long time, that it is a commitment of time, a show of resiliency and persistent, but also start practicing with that story behind this credential and getting you to this point. What does that look like? Or what did they look like? Why you chose to spend the time? What type of strengths does it elevate and bring to the surface? And what, in terms of career goal, is it tied to? So if there are things that you want to share in the chat, go ahead.
If you are working for an organization with a marketing department or someone who handles that, make sure that they know, because even though your boss knows, sometimes the marketing department doesn't know, and they will help you figure out ways to promote it and shout it from the rooftops. And as they are working with company leadership to decide on individuals to promote for various awards, credentials like this and the process and everything you've put into it, the story that you're working on can be part of those types of submissions. And they can even help you in terms of, wanting to do speaking engagements and things. So really make sure that you're sharing that information. Go ahead.
I've posted the link now. It seems to be hyperlinked, so you guys can find it easily, the information on the numbers. And CIDQ actually is a great source of information if you're looking for additional stats or numbers to support your story. Spend some time digging around CIDQ.
Yeah, I just posted in the chat, they released their annual report. And if you look on page 11, that just came out last week. So on page 11, they'll give you the most current numbers to date. Now that includes all of this spring. And then there's a page that actually breaks it down by state. So if you're one of those people, like, how can I find my number, like in that 300, whatever, you can look on that page and it'll tell you how you fall in your state. And again, next week or the week after is when they'll release the fall results.
So that number
it'll change a little bit, but I think
hopefully.
that would be a good start. Yeah, they won't put all the fall numbers out until probably we'll have them, and we'll share them in the spring, hopefully in January when we do our presentation then. So, but that'll be great numbers for you to have if you're talking to people and go, hey, I'm only one of so many. That's where you can look. And your professional organizations usually have advocacy pages on their websites where you can also see a lot of good information about this too.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So we've talked about the things that, at the minimum, do these things, but keep thinking bigger. And this is something you'll be able to keep brainstorming on, because once you receive your results and have this credential, it's with you. So, keep thinking of ways to leverage it. But part of taking your accomplishment to the next level is really understanding the perception of others, and then using that recognition strategically to support your goals. So we've sort of mentioned before that employers and clients who have knowledge of this credential may associate some things with this accomplishment, like your technical accuracy and code compliance or code knowledge, your professional accountability, your ability to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. They may see it as an example of your readiness for leadership roles, and that having you as part of the team reduces risk on projects, and that you've gained increased trust for things that they'll come to you to do. So for you, how does it give you an edge, and how can you leverage it? Well, know that now you qualify for roles that require that credential. So it can expand. If you are looking for opportunities, it can expand to what you're looking at. You also stand out during reorganizations or competitive hiring. And, this goes back to when we talk about, the factors, and when the industry and the economy impact what's going on in your company, know that this level of commitment could be something that keeps you in the mix when people are making tough decisions. You can legally perform work that others cannot, depending on the state. And as you communicate it with your clients, it brings reassurance to them, again, that you have this higher level of recognition for your knowledge and experience. And you're also perceived as someone who invests in their growth. And don't underestimate the power of that.
And don't just take it from us again.
Yeah, don't just take it from us. We have, a few more comments from some business owners who, one said, I've basically become a brand ambassador by sharing my journey to certification. She says, my journey to certification. It builds trust. And another reference is to really use that appellation everywhere, and LinkedIn, email signature, your portfolio, to really be proud of it. Again, the important point to make here is that when you promote the credential, it's not only benefiting you, it serves the greater good of the profession. It increases public awareness, and the more you talk about it, the better it is for all of us, the better it is for the industry.
Also, I wanted to say that I love that you all love numbers as much as I do. People get excited about, my God, now I know. Yes.
All right. Another writing prompt. Again, we're working on clearly communicating this accomplishment and leveraging it to reach your goals. So as our prompt on the screen says, which specific strengths or skills contributions does the NCIDQ credential help you demonstrate more clearly in your current or desired role? Where does it give you clarity and confidence in your current or desired role? And as you're contemplating that, some other things that you can weave into these stories that you're telling, or figuring out how this aligns, is what types of projects energize you? So as you think about that, then how can the NCIDQ support that? Where do you naturally excel? Is there something you want to become known for? And again, if you have your sights on you want to do more speaking or writing about a particular topic, and this credential helps elevate you as a thought leader. Or is there a problem you want to fix? And how does this better position you to tackle it? Again, anything you want to share in the chat as you're contemplating these things, or these unique connections you're making between your areas of focus, your goals, and how this credential can support that.
Yeah, that's all very great. Brooklyn, designing inclusive spaces, the largest amount of people will find a space comfortable and safe with the teachings of NCIDQ. I love that focus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to keep moving so we don't hold you too far past the hour. In our last module, we wanted to move into the most uncomfortable part, the one that we don't practice enough, which is the negotiating and talking, actually vocalizing what it is that you need in order to accomplish your goal, career goals. So NCIDQ is one of the vehicles to get you there, but the whole it's just a step forward, right? The whole idea behind meeting a credential or passing the exam is to continue to move you forward. And it doesn't necessarily need to mean more of everything. Like forward growth could mean I now realize what I really want to do, and making a shift, a change, maybe growing a team, maybe scaling down the team so that you have the time to do the thing that you really want to do, all informed by the things we talked about earlier today. Oh, LaTanya, if I had the time right now to read.
Yeah.
I want to read that.
I want to read it.
Okay. So I sort of touched on, none of us like to be put in this position. Let me just say, I think most of us women on the call or on this workshop today, and I'm saying specifically women because I think we all feel like we're never given enough opportunity to speak up. But now we're giving you an opportunity and giving you the tools to really own this accomplishment. And saying that, yeah, it will feel uncomfortable at first. And no, you're not alone. And it is okay to ask for things that you feel firmly about. And utilizing the credential to back, right, to be the information behind your ask, and be able to take you forward and get you closer to meeting your goal. Because you don't want to miss out on opportunities. I know I don't. And I've been in those positions where I had to push myself beyond the discomfort. And I do have to tell you that the more you do it, the easier it gets. And you learn from those uncomfortable moments. What we would hate for designers to experience is being undervalued. Because you didn't speak up, feeling underappreciated because, again, you expected the environment around you to know the value of NCIDQ where they really didn't have the basis of knowing. And lastly, feeling like you're invisible from a perspective of oftentimes it's not those who are the most talented or worthy of advancement. It's mostly those who are the loudest and those who are able to quantify their accomplishments and speak very clearly and confidently about where they're headed and what they want to accomplish, that get the promotion, that get the visibility. So these are some of the things to really keep in mind. You can't afford not to speak up. You've put in, or you're continuing to put in, a ton of effort, a ton of financial resources. I mean, taking this exam is not inexpensive. So from my perspective, and I'm sure Jenny can attest to this too, you just cannot afford not to own this credential and use it to your best advantage.
And remember, when we're saying speak up, it doesn't mean you have to be this, bold, extroverted person to get out there. At any personality type, any person can find a way to speak up in the right place, in the right way, with the right people. So how can you be more visible? And And, we love our network. We've tapped into our network, to get some of the quotes for you. So we're asking you to do the same. Be visible to your network. Reconnect with old colleagues. Stay active in the professional organizations, and make sure that you're showing up where conversations about the future of design are happening. Your network is so powerful. You want them to know what you've accomplished. We like to say relationships are doors. Visibility is the hand that knocks. Now, the next group that you want to show up to and be visible with is your employer. Because don't assume that your boss knows what you do. Make it a point to document your wins. Send some project recaps. Share lessons learned. Show leadership even without a title. Visibility builds trust, and trust builds opportunity. And again, I'm going to put in a plug for the marketing department in your companies, because they will help you make the company that you're working with know what's going on with you. And then be visible to the public. NCIDQ deepens your credibility, but visibility accelerates it. It's like our colleague who talked about being a brand ambassador and really sharing with her clients the importance of NCIDQ. So you can do it by posting project insights, sharing industry trends, engaging in conversations. I mean, if you own your own business, it should be part of your business pitch, showing why that credential matters. Because then maybe when they're talking with the competition, they're going to ask the competition about that. So your voice is part of your brand. And again, we have to think of the power of all of our voices together to support the greater good of the profession. Negotiate. Visibility supports your ability to negotiate. And I'm thinking this word may make some of you a little anxious. And maybe others don't have a problem with it and have been negotiating since they were a kid. I know Aga's child is an excellent negotiator. I've experienced it firsthand, born with it. So we want you to be at ease with it and think of it as it isn't confrontation. And I don't like confrontation at all, but that's not what negotiation is about. It's communication with structure. And it's really you advocating for yourself. So, whether you're discussing salary, title, scope, rate increases, or project leadership, your career relies on your ability to ask what aligns with your value. And what are you actually negotiating? You're not negotiating your worth. You're negotiating the values of your contributions, the impact of your expertise, the risk that you're reducing, and the professional responsibility that NCIDQ represents. Negotiation becomes part of your brand story. Your ability to advocate for yourself will be respected. Negotiation moves you forward in your career. This is how you're going to achieve your goals. We want to tell you what some of our network has said, and there's some good ones. So a designer that I know very well, who's a senior partner at her firm, said, I would advise individuals to always be an advocate for themselves. Do not assume everyone is keenly aware of your accomplishments and or the impact your work has on the organization. When or if you're approaching this discussion, come prepared with specific actions and outcomes, and do so in a respectful way. Meeting the bare minimum of a job description does not warrant a raise. And then an owner of a studio talks about or advises, for those seeking advancement, I recommend framing the credential in terms of the value it brings. Show how it allows you to take on more responsibility, improve project outcomes, or contribute to billable work. Be ready to discuss specific examples from your experience that demonstrate this value. And examples are, a key ingredient of this storytelling that we're encouraging you to do.
Yeah, to summarize what Jenny have walked you through, in practice, the parts of negotiation to keep in mind when you're going in for a conversation would be clarity, communication, and flexibility, right? So be clear on what it is that you want to discuss. Have your facts ready, come prepared. That means support yourself with numbers, study the CIDQ reports. If that means understanding your impact and what that looks like in terms of project delivery, that's the numbers and information that you want to come in with. Communication, this is about style of communication, right? So Jenny has alluded to that negotiation is not, you're not going in with, it's not a fist fight. We're really after a conversation. You present your facts, you wait for the response. I mean, it's a discussion about where you want to go. You're prepared. You also have identified some boundaries and some non-negotiables. So your boundaries are yours to keep, not the other person's. So if you're unwilling to stick to the boundaries that you set and you hold your non-negotiables constant, then this negotiation may end up derailing very quickly, and then you won't be satisfied with the outcome. And then the end, the piece of flexibility. So again, knowing the boundaries, things that you just cannot, because it's not aligned with your core values, let go. But if there's room for flexibility, perhaps there is a conversation about, if not now, when, right? Maybe there's a time flexibility. If you're asking for a certain number, whether that's fees or salaries, there's wiggle room in that number. So all of that sort of comes full circle. Information, communication, and building in the flexibility, but knowing where your boundaries is set. And then to close out our writing prompts for you, this one sort of wraps up while you were building on your why and your core values, given your strengths, we talked about that, and the credibility NCIDQ provides, what opportunities, so now we're talking about the future, project types, responsibilities, professional growth do you want to pursue next? What is NCIDQ as a credential allowing you to do now? If it is, again, moving up, greater leadership responsibilities, that articulate that clearly. If that means pivoting and doing other types of work, be sure that that's what you're communicating to the world.
I wanted to reference, Amy, you said something about, it's part of advocating for a client and myself. And I think that's really such an interesting thing. We don't have problems advocating for our clients, right? I mean, half of what we're doing, we're advocating for our clients. So put it to the test for yourself. Be comfortable doing it for yourself. And I also wanted to comment on Michelle, when you're competing for a project, I think, part of that could be the education portion. It's not like I have this, they don't, educating your client in your presentation about, often you're introducing who you are, and make sure the credentials part of the story. And you can ask them, oh, are you aware of this credential? And if they're not, then you can explain it. Because then typically what happens in the next interview, they're like, oh, do you have NCIDQ? Because you've educated them and now it's something that they know to ask about. So I guess part of my advice would be to take an educational approach and use it repeatedly.
And don't take offense when people don't know. I mean, we're dealing with this all the time, I'm sure. Well, are you a decorator, right? Like I've worked with a decorator before, and I know that we get very, very heated in these discussions. But really, the only thing we can do is continue to educate and advocate. Move the needle forward by spreading the right information and the facts about the credential.
Mm-hmm. And then showing it. You know, we talk about the brand of you is what you say about yourself, but it really comes to life through actioning and then the people experiencing exactly what you say. So you can tell them all these things, but then in their experience, they have to see that level of accountability and all the knowledge and, you know, that leadership and everything that you're bringing to the table. So you can't just say it, then you've got to follow through on that and show them the benefits of working with someone at your level of the profession. So
yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot for everyone, but hopefully you've jotted some notes and you will spend extra time on finding the keywords, descriptors, tie it to your strengths, consider the values-driven reflection journal that is available on our website as a tool to really dig into your core values. And then Jenny.
We're hoping you feel more confident. We're hoping that you have a little more clarity. And don't forget what we learned through the story of the monk and the stone. Your worth depends on where and with whom you choose to place yourself. So we hope you're ready to choose wisely, and we hope you are ready to own your expertise. We believe in you, and we're here for you, and we invite you to stay connected with us.
And if you read The Brand of You, the message that we believe in you is on literally every page. That is why we wrote the book. Credential, this specific credential, or any other move in the growth of your career journey, the same conversation is to be had with yourself. Same analysis. Why am I doing this? What sort of core values is it supporting? How can I communicate this thing to the world? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, you're very welcome.
Very welcome.
We're getting a lot of questions about the book. Amy has the existing book, and so the new book, I dropped the link for it on our website. You know, right now, what we're allowing people to do is catch this replay on demand for people if you want to rewatch it or whatever. But then we're putting together this special bundle that includes the book, the ebook version of the book, for a terrific price of $9.99. So you can have this replay, the bundle. Can we include a copy of the slide deck for them too, Aga, in that?
Absolutely.
So exclusive to those who get this. And we'll have that together. So
because someone asked about the writing prompts, and the writing prompts are
where would you find them? Those are in the book, correct? The writing prompts?
No.
Oh, they're just in the slide deck.
Yeah, I think
that would be part of our bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were happy to include the slides. But if you're after a printed book, the bundle includes an ebook for easy delivery. But if you're after a printed book, those are available through our website, thebrandofview.com.
Yeah.
And some Brand of You merchandise.
Oh yeah, we also have merchandise if you wanted to check that out.
Really well
Super
designed,
cozy hoodies and sweatshirts and other wintry cozy
we dressed up for you today because often we have the hats and the sweatshirts.
It was a joy. Thank you so much for participating in the chat. It makes it so much more more interactive, obviously, but also worthwhile for everyone when you talk to us.
Yes. Thank you for engaging.
And good luck to everyone. I hope that your results are positive. And even if they're not, again, I took the exam twice. This is not a lost time, right? Like you've learned something.
Yeah.
And
it's the journey, not just the destination. Yeah.
No. So. It's not the ideal result, but for many, they need a couple times to pass. So don't you worry.
Yeah.
Love listening to the seminar. Well, thank you so much, Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Go on with your weekend.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Glad to see everyone here, and we'll see many of you again soon. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.